Warning, this podcast contains heavy spoilers for not just one movie, but entire franchises. We highly recommend going and watching these movies before listening to us as a companion piece that stitches all the timelines into one creepy, crime-ridden story. There will be no more spoiler warnings. We do not break character. After this, there is no turning back. You've been warned. Hit the music.
You are talking about the nonsensical ravings of a lunatic mind.
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive! It's
Hello and welcome to It's Alive podcast. This is a true crime, paranormal, interstellar podcast covering unbelievable stories that sound like they were ripped straight from the pages of a Hollywood script. Nearly fucked it up. I am your host, the man of many names, the outlaw, Harley Ray, the Bruiser, Bronson, Dr. H.R. Smokenstein, THC, or you can call me Josh for short. And with me as always is my very own Scream Queen, the perfect combination of beauty and braids, bride, the Smokenstein, the India heart, expert, the guts and gore, the gorgeous, sexy Amy Rose. Hi. I recovered well there.
You did. You saved that.
And this week, we're going all aliens. The intergalactic part of our intro. We're fucking
Finally
leaning
there.
on it this week. Have we done anything about aliens up until this point? Is this our first time doing aliens?
I think so.
And we've been doing aliens across the board. We've been talking about greys. We've been talking about reptilians. We've been talking about Betty and Barney Hill. Previously, we've talked about Travis Walton and Roswell. And I mean, there is so much there.
Yeah.
We had fun this week on
we
Real
did.
Monsters.
We did.
Covering the reptilians and the greys. And today we're going to be
And
covering...
Betty and Barney.
Huh?
And Betty and Barney.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, they were the first big abduction, isn't it? Yeah,
yeah.
the first official abduction in the United States. And yeah, that's really... It's an interesting story. And when you pick it apart, it gets even more interesting. So you can check that out on Real Monsters. It's $5 a month on Patreon. Or you could wait, like, I don't know, 6-7 months and it might be free on Patreon then. Because there's like...
Maybe.
16 free episodes of Real Monsters now available on Patreon. And again, like we said last week, if you're looking for mini monsters, it's over there on the Patreon feed, but it is free. Still free, staying free, always will be free.
Yay.
So, like we were talking over there about greys and reptilians, I suppose these guys are being offshoot of the reptilians in some way. Yeah, this week we're talking about xenomorphs. Next week it is the Yatuja.
Oh.
Better known as predators.
Oh, yeah.
So the aliens we're going to talk about for the next 2 weeks are all interconnected in some way and not highlighted as much as the greys or reptilians in popular culture. This leads experts to believe that these particular breeds are actually the real threat to humanity, sort of like what I've said about Area 51 in the past. The government leads you to believe that Area 51 is a top secret alien-filled army base so as to keep your attention where they want it. You stay looking at Area 51 while they're doing everything you suspect from Area 51 in an undisclosed location.
See, I had never copped that until you pointed out to me one day because they told me that all the alien stuff was happening in Area 51. I'd be like, that's where all the alien stuff is definitely happening.
But I would assume probably at some stage, maybe at the start, like Roswell time, like pre-Roswell, I reckon most likely, yeah, that's what it was used for. I think after Roswell, maybe for a little while after Roswell, but I think once people started paying attention to it,
Yeah.
they were like, okay, we're going to let them think it's fucking here and we're going to put it over there. Because I know there's talk of Area 52s and Area 53, do you know what it is? And I mean,
I think I'd call it a different name. Not Area 52.
Oh, well, I don't know what they call them. I know there's that theory that somewhere near the Roswell site there's a mountain with a base in it.
Oh, with the mountain that opens up. Are there supposed to be giants in that mountain as well, or is that a different mountain?
Don't know about giants, definitely aliens. Or that's where they're reverse engineering the spacecrafts and stuff like that. So the aliens we're going to talk about in this series are the Malakaks, aka the engineers, the Yatuja, aka the predators, and the Xenomorphs, aka the fucking badasses. Outside of the reason I gave above, the alien misdirection, another reason for these aliens being kept in the background is the story's origin, as it all fits into a big conspiracy theory surrounding a popular weapons and cybernetics company, the Weyland-Yutani Corporation. Weyland Corporation, often shortened to Weyland Corp, was a British multinational corporation founded in 1979 by Sir Peter Weyland. Weyland Corp specializes in advanced technologies, creating and developing several major advancements in the fields of holographics, off-world colonization theory, cybernetics, transportation, and healthcare. The company's headquarters were located in San Francisco, California, New York, United States.
California,
New York. I'll show you someone that doesn't know their geography. Weyland Corp was eventually acquired by the Yutani Corporation and reformed into the Weyland-Yutani Corporation. The Yutani Corporation was founded in the early 2000s and was one of the leading companies in the field of cybernetics. According to the conspiracy, Yutani Corp is said to have acquired Yakuza plasma pistols, which were left behind by the Yakuza who arrived on Earth in 2004 to clean up the Xenomorph infestation in Gunnison, Colorado, a story we will dig deeper into next week.
Cool.
In 2009, Yutani Corp outbid other corporations, concerns including the Chinese Yutu Combine, to acquire Weyland Corp after the death of Peter Weyland. The assuage unease with stockholders, it was reported that the merger had occurred in a reverse. So basically they made it sound like Weyland Corp took over Yutani.
But Yutani actually
took over Weyland Corp.
Okay.
And it was something to do with the stockholders. They wouldn't have been happy the other way around. Now, you're going to notice I'm going to fuck up so many times. Not so much this week, because I don't think they're in it as much this week. But, well, it's not that. It's just that Yutani and Yakuza.
They're very similar.
As I was writing it, I was struggling. So, yeah, it could be back and forth with that one. Weyland-Yutani is a company with their fingers in many different pies. And to the public, they are known for their great developments in healthcare tech, household electronics, renewable clean energy, top security systems, and research into the idea of terraforming planets to mimic our own, creating more for humans colonize and for space travel exploration. Basically, they were doing what today's billionaires do with their spare change just a few decades earlier.
So that's the public side, but what's the private side and why is it all kept so quiet?
Because the public stuff is the front for the more nefarious research going on in the background. Plus, in many cases, they have government contracts that are classified and not for public consumption. Before I get into that, though, do you know the idea of terraforming planets? Didn't Elon Musk want to do that recently?
Terraform Earth?
No, it wasn't my brother saying something about he wanted to nuke Mars to heat the planet up.
But how long would it be uninhabitable for?
I don't think. I think it's it's uninhabitable now.
Oh, so you're going to have to make it habitable either.
You know?
Yeah.
Anyway, back to the public or the private contracts with the government. These divisions that control these government contracts range from bioweapons to reverse engineering, alien tech to special services and advanced weapon manufacturing. Now, again, obviously, allegedly, because we're not supposed to have tech from aliens to reverse engineer. It's believed that ETs we're talking about today first came into contact with Weyland Corp back in the 80s when a mechanical discovery unit similar to the Mars rover was mapping the moon. It said they found an egg on the dark side but were unable to retrieve it at the time. In the 90s, they managed to bring it home and discovered what was inside. In the meantime, more exploration missions of more distant planets uncovered more signs of these eggs, along with drawings and symbols on rocks and walls indicating the possibility of even more races to be discovered. But again, we'll dig deeper into that next week.
So how do we know all this top secret information and where did the conspiracy theory come from?
Well, Weyland and Yutani were both known for doing shady shit. Stuff that was borderline illegal, but they'd always get around the issue with loopholes, bribes, and shitloads of expensive lawyers. When they started to talk about space exploration and terraforming planets, that's when the rumor mill really started going. Remember, this is the 80s, 90s. Back then, any belief in aliens or living on foreign planets, you got ridiculed. Yeah. You were the nutcase with his head in the stars. So, to be fair to them, Weyland-Yutani were easy targets for space gossip. What really got the story to the mainstream media were claims made by a Weyland Corp astronaut and engineer by the name of Ellen Ripley. Ripley claimed to have come into contact with the Xenomorph aliens a number of times, but documents 2 of the occasions. On both documented occasions, she claims they were aboard the Weyland space station before the merger with Yutani. She claimed that the crew, while exploring a distant moon, came across an egg which gave birth to a spider-like creature they called a facehugger. This facehugger would attach to your face and impregnate the host with an egg of the xenomorph alien, who would grow inside you and burst out of your chest. Growing rapidly, the alien would then go on to hunt for more hosts. On the second occasion, she claims to have gone back to the moon with backup to recover lost tech from the first mission and to investigate Ripley's claims, which again resulted in the same. The crew got eaten up by the xenomorphs and Ripley got away.
And we haven't heard of this because it's classified.
That's what conspiracy theorists claim. Okay. But when pressed about Ripley's claims, Weyland Corp released a statement where it is claimed that while Ripley was an engineer in their bioweapon department, she had at no stage went to space, and that at no time had Weyland Corp led a manned mission to any moon, let alone one so far away. They said Ripley had to be let go due to her unstable mental health and the discovery that she was taking top secret government information to members of the press, along with her blatantly fabricated stories of extraterrestrials. So, well, I was going to say there are definitely conspiracy theories here, but I suppose government information, top secret, they know, we know they have these contracts.
Oh, yeah,
it's just what the contracts are about.
Exactly.
So she could have been doing that. Conspiracists argue that this is a cover-up and believe that Weyland were looking to trap more xenomorph to use in weapon development, and that Ripley's claims were buried along with her in order to keep that secret. These rumours intensified in the 2000s, with Yutani allegedly acquiring Yakuza weapons to back engineer after some alleged incidents that went down on Earth in 2004. Obviously, when both companies merged, Reddit had a meltdown as conspiracists felt like their claims had been validated, as the two leading companies in alien gossip and rumour had merged to become one. So that's the background. Now we get into the dirt with a full breakdown and look at the most well-documented alien of all the species we're going to talk about, and that's the xenomorph. So get your tinfoil hats on, buckle up, because the next part is detailed.
Exciting.
So I know I put this one together, but I'm going to need your help with some of this. So I highlighted some bits for you to read so that the listener doesn't get bored of just listening to me draw on and on and on and on and on about ETs.
Cool.
Right then, let's get started. So the xenomorph. No, like I said, this is detail. It's broken down into segments because we are going to go through everything about these bastards.
Okay.
Cool. The Xenomorph XX121, better known just as Xenomorph or the Alien, is an extraterrestrial hive-based endoparasitoid with a multi-stage life cycle, possibly originating from the planet Xenomorph Prime. Whoever named that was lazy.
Yep.
Known to be extremely deadly and hostile, these creatures require a host organism in order to reproduce. The appearance of xenomorphs can vary depending on the host in which the embryo is implanted. The human phenotype is generally around 7 to 9 feet in height and roughly 400 to 600 pounds in weight, with a long muscular tail and large curved oblong head. The queen of the species is generally twice as large, although some queens have been shown to grow even larger, some surpassing 30 meters in height if given time,
Jesus.
And possesses superior speed, strength, and intelligence compared to her common offspring. You'd have to wonder, with all the extra weight and height, how she moves quicker.
Does she at that extra weight and height, or do you think she'd be like, that's
well,
just
what
a
it's
blob?
claimed is that she can move around pretty quick, but you'd have to assume if it's anything like insect.
That she's just kind of like a baby making machine. Just kind of sitting there.
Yeah. Actually, now that I think about these guys are very insect-like, and there is kind of insect aliens that I've heard of before, so maybe it's these guys. I don't know. All right, we're going to get into the biology. A xenomorph's physical appearance can vary widely depending on its life stage, hive, caste, age, and host. Its ability to incorporate genetic material from its host, coupled with the existence of numerous mutations and deviations which have originated naturally or artificially, make the xenomorph one of the most phenotypically diverse organisms in the galaxy. A typical xenomorph begins its life cycle as an egg-like creature known as an ovomorph or simply egg, which, when detecting the presence of a potential host, opens up to release the second stage, a small arachnid-like life form which we've named the facehugger, which launches itself onto the host's face and impregnates it with an endoparasitoid larva. This parasite then consumes part of the host from within and violently emerges from the host's chest cavity as a worm. I was going to say worn out creature.
You're going to say warning. I was like, some fucking warning.
As a worm-like creature, grotesquely christened as the Chestbuster. This will quickly scurry away to find a safe place where it can molt and complete its metamorphosis into an adult xenomorph, which happens, surprisingly enough, over the course of mere hours.
Oh.
Adult xenomorphs tend to share some common traits. An invertebrate-like body, including a protective dark exoskeleton, a long flexible tail, an elongated domed head, and a toothed mouth hiding a secondary extendable proboscis-like, what's that? Proboscis? That's right, yeah. Proboscis. Like inner maw.
Oh.
These are some funny words.
Okay.
Basically, it's got a mouth inside its mouth. Little is known about their biology, but it is known that they eat with their inner or secondary mouths, not their outer mouths. This mode is somewhat similar to the pharyngeal jaw of a moray eel. So we got this on Earth.
There is a lot of fishes that have that pharyngeal jaw. So basically, like,
you can't see it, like it's inside.
You can't see it. So basically, they trap you with their front ones, and then this one kind of like comes up their throat a tiny bit, and then it catches you at like your front end, the end that's gone in, and then they let go of the first jaw, and it basically just sucks
pulls
you back in. Yeah.
Well, these, from what we'll get into it a bit more later, but from what I can tell, these go out and they use them as weapons as well to the people. They also bleed an unknown and extremely corrosive fluid. This substance is dull yellow in colour and often referred to as blood, although whether it's used to transport nutrients through the body or it serves principally as a defence mechanism is not clear. While the extremely corrosive fluids and tremendous resilience displayed by the creature might suggest an exotic kind of biochemistry, the fact that Xenomorph not only feeds on humans but actually develops inside them strongly suggests that its biology is carbon-based. The ability to inherit traits from its host also suggests that it incorporates genetic material from them, implying that the xenomorph either has DNA or is able to read and convert DNA into whatever means it uses to store genetic information.
Well, that's efficient.
Xenomorphs operate in hives made of a resin they produce, mixed up from their own saliva fluids. The queen can be generated in more than one way, from specialized royal facehuggers or maturing from Praetorians, who are royal guard, which in turn can mature from drones or warriors by a process referred to as molting. Judging from the condition that any xenomorph can potentially molt and grow into a Praetorian and then a queen, am I saying that right?
Yeah, but every time you say it, I think it's just a South African person from Pretoria. It's a place in South Africa, isn't it?
I'm
pretty sure it is.
Where was I with this? Molting and growing to Praetorian and then a queen. The xenomorph species is likely all unisexual and reproduces asexually by a process called parthenogenesis. Mm-hmm. A reproductive method practiced by many species on Earth and other planets. Basically, the unfun way to have a child.
Like the stingray lately. Do you remember they were like, well, it could have been a shark that got her pregnant a few years ago and she could have been storing the sperm, or she could have...
asexually reproduced.
And she did, yeah.
That's what they worked out,
Yeah.
Alternatively, it is also possible that the aliens are either hermaphrodites or practice sequential hermaphroditism, i.e. being able to change sexes during life, as is the case with some species of fish and amphibians. Fish have it fucking great. They can do whatever the fuck they want, can't they? For guys with no minds, like, you know.
Guys with no minds. Well, the male seahorse I want to be a chick today. I
have seen the seahorses ejaculating.
It's
Or is that giving birth?
No, that's giving birth. That's not ejaculating. That's
There's
the male
fucking
seahorse.
millions
Yeah.
of them just fucking shooting out and they just start swimming.
And you can actually see him kind of pushing as well because he kind of goes down a tiny bit. Do you ever see him kind of go like down like a millimeter like in the water and it's like he's pushing really hard.
So it's just like a really bad poop.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird though? Like, they come out and they just start swimming. They're back there. And there's so many. I find that so fucked up. We have to spend years developing after we come out to get to where we want to be.
We also get to live a way longer life.
That's true. So I suppose they need a head start. They need to be ready to go, don't they?
But then elephants live a long time and they get to walk straight away, don't they?
Yeah.
So do tortoises.
How long do elephants live for?
Good question. Let me have a look.
I was only thinking of it the last day when I was watching the dog.
Yeah.
The dog was snoring. Snoring, conked. If you woke me up from that situation, it would take me another half an hour just to get myself off the couch and get moving to you.
Oh, he's
this
straight up.
Fucker, as soon as he hears you, he stops snoring, eyes are open, and if he sees you're doing anything, he is up bouncing around the place. I would love to have that energy.
Anyway, an Asian elephant can live to 48 years. An African elephant lives to between 60 and 70 years.
So an African elephant is close enough to us.
Yeah, yes. And they get to walk straight away. That's a bit not.
And they got great memories.
Great memories.
I can't remember shit.
But you got to deal with the big ears.
Speaking of intelligence, this is your turn. Oh yeah, this is your turn. We're on to your part. So we're going to talk about the xenomorph's intelligence now.
So most xenomorphs appear to possess an intelligence level equivalent to that of a typical primate. It's well within their capabilities to learn relatively quickly, gathering information and making advantageous use of their environment. Although they do not demonstrate human and Yutuja level intelligence as a species, such as abstract reasoning, introspection, and technological advancement, their queen appears to possess considerable acumen in her social behaviour and manipulation of human technology. While it may take considerable time for them to learn how to operate machinery, some xenomorphs have displayed fast reasoning and the capacity to find creative, counterintuitive solutions to problems, as exemplified by a group which, after noticing that they were being contained, intentionally murdered the weakest so that the acid of the xenomorph's blood would eat through the floor of their cell. Again,
allegedly. This is a story that came out of Weyland-Yutani, and we don't know if that's true, but apparently they had a batch of them in a little cell, and that's pretty much how they thought they had this foolproof system, this great cell to keep them inside, and then they came back and one of them was dead and there was a big hole in the floor.
Oh shit.
And then they were in trouble.
As the adult xenomorphs are known to inherit physical characteristics from their hosts, it's possible that the intelligence level of the creatures may be influenced by its host as well. Furthermore, being an eusocial species, it is possible that the intellectual capacity varies for each different caste. Xenomorphs have demonstrated little emotion, though they are not completely devoid of fear, such as when they are in the presence of fire, which they are vulnerable to. They have also been shown to communicate pain through shrieks or screams when attacked. It has been suggested that xenomorph nests may operate under a hive mind or a collective consciousness directed by the queen, who can call back and give orders to her subjects, both telepathically and vocally with shrieks. In some cases, the Queen Mother xenomorph communicates telepathically with potential hosts, inducing terrifying dreams and religious visions, which may even lead to the formation of cults with the xenomorph as a godlike figure, not dissimilar to the cults of Cthulhu and other such entities. In the rare event that a xenomorph finds itself under attack or otherwise vulnerable, it might display incredible creativity and cleverness. They are capable of moving quickly and silently in ventilation systems, despite their size, and will use such conduits for ambush, escape, or simply as an easy way to travel between areas.
Before you move on, I just saw it not dissimilar to cults of Cthulhu. Is there real-life cults of Cthulhu? Seems like there might. I know South Park took the piss out of it at one point. But they were doing this whole superhero thing, so I just assumed it was fake like that.
So Cthulhu, he's a fictional cosmic
I know
entity.
that, yeah. It's a H.P. Lovecraft story.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Anyway, where were we?
Okay, so xenomorphs are conscious of the effects of their acidic blood and will use it to their advantage to break out of human-constructed confinement or as a weapon. They show some military tactics, such as retreating when overwhelmed, and they know that the darkness is their ally and break lights to create cover.
Again, I think that's about as intelligent as an animal, right? I mean, there's animals that will be smart enough to do. I mean, like animals instinctively know some animals instinctively know to stay in the dark or
going around breaking lights.
Or to just keep themselves camouflaged.
Yeah.
Obviously, the breaking lights, right? That's
more maybe monkey, gorilla, maybe ape.
Yeah, they might
can
have
see
the sense to
them,
think of
yeah.
it. But I mean, to the most part, but like that's how animals hunt. They hide in the grass. They hide where you can't see them. And I assume with these guys, because I have heard that some of them are pretty dark looking and slimy, but that it would make sense that they'd hide in the shadows.
Oh yeah,
wouldn't it?
yeah.
So their anatomy. A xenomorph is equipped to be the perfect killing machine, which is why Weyland-Yutani want them.
Yep.
They possess an exoskeleton much like that of a lobster, impenetrable to everything but the most powerful human firearms. It's believed the creature's skin is made from protein, here we go, polysaccharides. So, I don't know if that's right. So this would imply a substance similar to chitin. It's also believed the creature replaces...
What's chitin?
I have no idea. Come here. I'm just trying to get through it, Amy. There's some big words in here. There's stuff I don't know. If I stopped and explained everything I didn't understand, we'd be here for a long fucking time. It is also believed the creature replaces its surface cells with polarized silicone, which is a very inert, heat-resistant and flexible polymer. Why would they be afraid of the heat if they had this special stuff over the skin? I don't know. This allows these creatures great environmental resistance. However, they are vulnerable to sudden massive changes in temperature. It's been demonstrated that they can be destroyed by immersion in molten lead, followed by sudden cooling with fire sprinklers, causing their silicone shells to shatter. Ooh, that's pretty cool. So what we need is really good temperature control in our house so we can turn the temperature right down and then right back up really, really quick if they come to get us.
Exactly.
Attached at the ends of both their arms are a set of long fingers and shiny, black, extremely sharp claws capable of slashing through almost anything within their grasp. Their tails are long and flexible. Some, though not all, also have ridges on top and a serrated toxic tip at the end of their tail to lacerate enemies. A xenomorph's outer mouth is filled with sharp teeth, but their main killing device is the inner jaw that shoots out to penetrate directly into the victim's brain, like I said earlier. The inner jaw, also known as an attack tongue, I prefer that, that's awesome. The attack tongue, is a muscular appendage on the inside of the xenomorph's mouth. It consists of a cord of muscle with a small but extremely deadly mouth-like appendage at the end. This attack tongue is able to punch through almost anything from bone to Yakuza armor, which we'll talk about next week, and it's extremely tough. The plasticity of the xenomorph's phenotype is one of the species' most notable features and has resulted in physical traits that diverge from individual to individual and from hive to hive. As an example of how a host can influence the morphology and skills of a parasitoid, a xenomorph spawned by a dog displays a distinctly canine body structure. Digitigrated legs, quadrupedal movement, and greatly enhanced speed compared to those spawned by human hosts, which are typically plantigrade and often bipedal. Even among those spawned exclusively from humans, different xenomorph hives can produce highly divergent individuals. Some are taller and lankier, with an almost erect posture. Others are shorter and bulkier and move more quadrupedally. I can't say these fucking...
It's a hard word.
Quadrupedally. Yeah, I can say all these words in my head. No matter, I can read these, piece of piss. Say it.
Because your tongue doesn't move that way.
While most have smooth craniums, others have ridges, which may be attributed to their age or caste. Ridges being associated with warriors and smooth features with drones. Some xenomorphs have tails that are roughly the same length as the rest of their bodies, equipped with a small, almost surgical stinger-like barb at the end. This stinger can be and has been used to perforate victims and may turn loose from the tail and remain lodged in the victim's body, not unlike a bee stinger. Conversely, other specimens have tails that are considerably longer and armed with a large knife-like blade at the tip and sometimes with ridges of spikes right before the blade, which may aid in swimming. I remember as a kid hearing about the bee stinger, right? And that the fact that they won't sting you because they'll die. And I always thought it was just in case they couldn't live without it. I didn't realise to get back away from you, they had to rip their body
Literally
apart.
in half, like, yeah.
That it's the case of the stinger goes in and then they pull away from you and their body goes straight in half.
Missing their butts. So what's the point in that altogether? I mean, like, if you're going to die either way, why not be, like, squashed rather than ripped in half?
It is a strange defence mechanism.
Yeah.
It is kind of a very vengeful thing, isn't it? If I'm going, I'm taking you with me.
These are so... Not that they're so nice, but I mean, like...
It seems more like a waspy thing to do.
Yeah, exactly. It's a wasp thing to do, not a bee thing to do.
Well, look, if you're going killing the bee, maybe it's just, like I said, it's the last bit of retribution before it goes. It hopes that you have an allergy and stings you.
Yeah, maybe. Although I don't like... I do kill bees. I don't kill bees. I kill wasps.
Yeah, I mean, I don't kill many insects anymore. I used to be a fucker
Just a
for it. I
wasp.
used to
There's a wasp
hate
in the
them.
kitchen with the 2 kids. You know, like, if it's not going out that window, you kind of have to...
I
get
generally
out the
try
old
to get them out if I can.
Oh, if we can, yeah. But a wasp...
If I have to, I'll kill it. Bee, I'll try and get it out. Spiders, these days, I hate the spiders. These days, I generally try and get them out of the house.
Have you
instead
ever
of killing them.
managed to hurt a wasp out? I've managed to get bees out of the kitchen, but I've never managed to get a wasp out.
If I keep swinging whatever it is I was going to kill it with towards it,
Your
it'll eventually... I just open the window and swing a fucking magazine at it until it eventually
Until it
flies
gets
out.
the hint.
Yeah.
See, I'd be afraid of pissing them off.
Well, it's only one wasp. What's it going to do? Like, and I'm not allergic, so if it does sting me.
If it does
Stop stabbing me!
we have a problem.
Oh my god, it's got a knife! No, I just in general, I think, I don't know, is it just me getting older or what? But like the last couple of years, I have found myself trying not to kill them.
Oh, well, yeah.
You know, trying to hurt them out. No, in some cases they get a warning once or twice, and once they don't move, it's like, kind of have to know.
Maybe I'm just irrational with wasps.
Which is strange, because I was only saying, this is the time of year where we usually get the hunter spiders in.
We get jumping spiders. Do you remember the spider that jumped at you?
Yeah, I tried to step in it. No, a hunter spider I will kill.
They're too
They're too quick. I can't herd that out of here. Herding them out of here is usually me getting them on a piece of paper and then walking them to the door.
Yeah.
These fucking things are quick.
Mm-hmm.
They move fast. And like you said, they jump. If I put it on the paper, it's only going to jump away. But
no.
I'm fucking pure paranoid about them. Because I don't like them. And usually, we're in September now. At this stage, I'd have killed 4 or 5 of those fuckers. I haven't seen one yet.
I reckon if we hadn't changed recording rooms, we'd have seen some by now, because there's been a few times last winter when we were recording and you could just see it come in the window and up onto the chair in front of me. Like, we've had to.
So we got them before they got through the door.
But still.
But usually I've seen a bunch of. I mean, if you're watching the video now, I don't know, because this is probably just going to be for mostly promos.
Yeah.
You'll see me, because I'm talking about now, I'm looking around the room to make sure there's none here.
And you would be like that for the evening. And you passed it on to our kids. Good job, Josh.
Fuck's sake. What do you mean, good job, Josh? I don't see you running to fucking deal with it when you see them. You're
That's
just as bad.
because
I
used to be fine with spiders.
At least with me, it's hunter spiders. Big, thick-ass bodied, badass looking
like
motherfuckers.
the daddy long legs one.
Daddy long legs.
They are my pet hate.
Oh my God.
They
You can
swing
kill
and
them
swing and
easy.
swing and swing. And then I always feel, because they make me feel sick as well, because when they're walking, it's like their legs are too thin. So they're really unsteady on their legs. And it's the way they're walking makes my tummy turn.
It's going to fall. Okay.
It's exciting for me.
Back to the xenomorphs. So we're going to go with the head next. The most notable feature of the xenomorph species is the elongated banana-shaped head. A potential explanation for this curious shape may be that the head may store muscles required to power the xenomorph's inner mouth. So that the back of it is really, so that they can bring it back
Storage.
and launch back out.
Yeah.
In terms of eyesight, the xenomorphs appear to be entirely eyeless. However, there are features on its head which could represent eyes, which are usually hard to see due to the fact that they are small and the same black colour as the skin. Other proposed conjectures include that the eyes might be similar to that of a desert-burrowing lizard's eyes, meaning that they lay under a thin layer of skin, yet are deep enough that they are not visible from the outside.
For protection.
Yeah. In that case, their eyes could be hidden behind their black carapace and they see through it. Similar to a one-sided mirror, except in this case, no one can see in, but the xenomorph can see out. That's exactly what a one-sided mirror is.
Anyone ever try to get really, 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 really close to see if you can see through?
I don't know. Again, these are all alleged sightings, so Oh, I'm not too sure. Some species of earth fish, the fish seem to be the closest thing to aliens we got, such as the barrel eyes see through a transparent layer of skin. It is possible xenomorph vision is similar. Another idea is their whole head might represent one big insect-like eye, so that they literally can see through the whole thing.
Oh, so
Everything.
like 360 kind of, yeah.
That'd be mental. I don't know how that would work.
I feel that would be overwhelming.
Eyeless or not, it is widely assumed that a xenomorph identifies enemies by sensing pheromones. This has never been explicitly confirmed nor denied, but a drone will not kill a host that's already infected, so they must have some way of detecting the presence of an unborn parasite within.
Well, I mean, dogs can smell
snacks.
cancer, so maybe dogs can smell cancer inside your body, so maybe xenomorphs can smell xenomorph babies.
This one's taken.
Yeah.
Xenomorphs don't do sloppy seconds, dude.
Do they have sexual organs? Are
No,
they
we
like
talked about that already. They're asexual.
Sorry, yeah.
Or hermaphrodites. Or can switch back and
Yeah,
forth.
we did say that. It's
So-
just when I thought it made me think of the Greys and that they don't have any visible.
Yeah.
Weird.
Nothing there that we can see.
All Kens and Barbies.
So we think. I mean, like I said to you before on Real Monsters, there's a possibility that grey, the alien grey, that what we're seeing is like a protective outfit. That there's actually something else inside hiding. So could come out with this big swinging dong and be like, yep, alien in the house.
It'd be like Krang, this tiny little thing in its tummy.
All right, so the jaws, the secondary jaws, also known as the inner mouth, double jaw, or maw. I was wondering where maw came from. Are another disturbing feature of the species. It's assumed that they're powered by extremely strong muscles inside the creature's elongated head that enable it to be quickly launched and retracted, similar to the tongue of a chameleon. The albino xenomorph drone has a very long inner mouth that can secrete resin that's used to build the walls of their hives. The inner mouth is typically the xenomorph's close combat weapon as opposed to its long-range tail. The xenomorph lashes it out of its outer mouth, and it destroys anything it hits, being able to put a hole in a thickened Yutuja skull and still have enough momentum to plunge another hole through the back of as it escapes. What?
What?
That makes no sense. Sorry,
Tell
I
me.
must have wrote that terribly. The xenomorph lashes it out of its outer mouth. So it comes out really quick.
Yeah.
So quick that it can go through even a Yutuja skull, which is supposed to be really big and strong and heavy. And still have the momentum to plunge another
They're on
hole
about
through.
an exit and entrance.
Oh, so it can go right into the back.
Right
it can go
through.
through
Yeah,
the Yutuja's head.
Yeah.
So if they can do that, they can pretty much destroy our head with
But it's
one.
basically bullet power, like.
Yeah, it's like that guy from oh fuck, Scanners, where he's sitting there and they're talking, and next thing he said just goes
Yeah.
and blows up all over the place. But maybe there was like an invisible xenomorph just straight into
Maybe.
them. Yutuja take them as souvenirs of their kills. So we're going to talk about them later. They're kind of big game hunter style
So you two should
aliens.
take their tails.
No, they take the skull.
Take
I
the
think it's talking about the skull here and the jaw and all that.
Oh, I get you. Okay.
The secondary jaw is powered by muscles, a feature that can be seen from the external midsection of each side of its head, oval in shape. Muscle rub along here, letting the mouth be pushed out like a piston through the target the xenomorph has acquired.
Ooh.
So, yeah, basically what we just said again there 2
Sounds
seconds ago.
vicious.
Basically, it's like a piston in their mouth. The muscles are running up along the back of their head, and when they get close enough to somebody where it can reach, they will just retract that like a bullet right through there. Basically, like the dude from No Country for Old Men,
Oh, with the thing.
with the cattle thing. Yeah.
That always freaks me out.
All right. Do you want to talk about that's their
Dorsal
heads? You can talk.
spines.
Yeah. You can talk about their backs.
Okay. Along the back of most xenomorphs' bodies are a series of appendages that appear to have no clearly defined function. It's still in debate what they are used for, with theories ranging from sensory organs to communication organs, breathing apparatus, defensive mechanisms, structures that dissipate heat, storing substances their bodies need, or to provide structures to carry around the young, underdeveloped chest bursters, the eggs, or the face huggers. Another theory is that it could be used as a counterweight to keep them from falling over when running. This sounds funny.
Makes
Imagine
sense.
it. None of these ideas have been confirmed or denied so far. So is that like isn't our big toe made to like balance us out.
I think so.
Yeah.
But to be honest, all I can picture now is a bunch of xenomorphs taking the piss out of the one guy with a short tail stumbling all over the place.
Aww, that makes me feel really bad.
Cute little xenomorph. Oh.
One theory is that the four back appendages are used as a kind of radar that the alien utilizes to see through extreme environments or detect movements. It's also said that the dorsal spines are used to secrete and possibly store resin used to build their hives.
Well, yeah, I'm right in saying there's a dorsal fish, right?
They have dorsal fins, I think, don't they? Doesn't a fish have a dorsal fin on their back? Sharks have dorsal fins. I think dolphins have dorsal fins.
Dorsal fish. There's a type of fish, I think. By the looks of things, I will tell you now. This is dorsalfish.co.za.
Is there a dorsal fin?
Yeah. They're a really specific looking thing. They, not great with fish, but I think it kind of looks like a catfish.
Let me have a look. Dorsal fish. It looks like
kind of catfish, is it? This isn't very interesting for a podcast.
I told you we should do this and call it Real Monsters. REEL. Okay.
REEL, though. You could use that as a movie podcast, too. Anyway. We'll get back to these. Back to the aliens. Fuck the fish. Enough about fish. We didn't talk about fish all day. Just after you say let's do a fish podcast, and this is full of fish. Go on.
It's interesting to note that xenomorph drones have been observed to bury themselves in the ground, yet their spines are still shown just breaking the surface, implying some use when connected to the environment. This may be either biological, breathing heat exchange, etc., or sensorial, detecting the vibrations of marines walking on the ground above. I wonder, is it like a trap?
Well, kind of like the spiders that hide under the ground and then jump out.
Yeah, say for argument's sake. If
what are they called? Trapdoor spiders or something like that?
Yeah.
Jesus. It's not bad enough the fuckers making traps.
What's the fucking awful one? The bird eating Goliath. I think that's an awful one. I'll show you later. The runner, a xenomorph born from a dog or other quadrupedal host, is notable in that it doesn't have dorsal spines. This could be an adaptation to make its body more aerodynamic and thus more efficient for running.
It's crazy because it is like, we've talked about it already, but apparently like there'll be the base xenomorph DNA, and then depending on what animal or species they're in, they'll take on. Because we'll talk about that next week again. There was a Xeno-Yutani thing. They call it
a cross between the two,
Predator or Xena-Predator. I don't know.
So, I don't know. The Xenomorph had to grow inside
a Predator. The Predator is the nickname for the Yutani.
I wonder how hard it was to get through that chest.
I don't know. Well, if it can burst through its fucking head with their tongue, with their inside mouth, I would assume. And I mean, if all else fails for them and they can't break out of the thing,
well, down it goes.
They could always just be like, bite themselves and had a little nick on the hand. Now they've got fucking acid blood pouring out inside the host body, so it's going to melt through anyway, isn't it?
Do they have hands yet at that stage?
I don't know.
I would have said that they could have just burrowed down. And cut out their butt.
Chest buster. I think there's drawings of these little guys. Yeah, they got like tiny little hands.
Do they?
Yep, tiny little hands. No legs, tiny little hands. Or do they have little tiny legs under that big tail? I don't know.
Well, we talked about the tail now.
Yep.
Yep.
Where am I?
It is accepted that the tail is an offensive weapon and little more. Though the creature can and will run on all four appendages, it often stands on its two hind legs so it can reach for its prey with its arms. While standing, it has also been seen to impale its victims with its tail, even to the point where it can raise a creature heavier than itself to eye level, possibly in preparation for face biting using the secondary jaws. This would clearly be impossible if the tail was needed for balance, as the already shifting weight would be too awkward, causing the monster to fall.
Every time we talk about its balance, all I can picture is it like a kangaroo. You know, like leaning on its tail and using the tail to balance. Because kangaroos do that, though. They can get right in their... that's how they kick.
That's how they kick.
Yeah, they can go right into their back tail and start kicking. So but I've never heard of a xenomorph kicking, so anyway.
As a weapon, the tail is extremely efficient as it is long enough to attack from a great distance and can be used in a variety of ways. For example, a xenomorph has been observed to use its tail to knock the legs out from under a Yutani before trying to stab it. The tail can be used in stealth attack since it's flexible enough to attack from a variety of positions, and it's hard to notice if it's behind the enemy or if the area is rather dark. Even if the sharp point is cut off, the tail is still deadly, as a xenomorph can use the damaged tail to spray its acid blood from the severed tip over a wide area. Xenomorphs are also capable of using their tails as blunt force weapons, clubbing their enemies with their vicious tail spikes.
I would love to have one of these tails.
Me too. I literally just thought that.
I mean, how do you kill one of these things? If they're acid as blood, as soon as you fucking try and kill it, it's going to kill you by accident.
Fire. Oh, you just told us molten lava and then freeze it. Molten lead.
Well, when as we're reading through this, and this happens to me regularly, right? When we're doing these episodes, we're describing something they're doing, and instantly I picture it in the most Looney Tune way, and I don't know why my brain does that. So you were talking about how it could come up from behind you, or the tail could come up from behind you, and all I could picture is the xenomorph standing there talking to someone, and then making his tail come up behind him and tap him on the shoulder, and then giggling to itself when it looks right.
Yeah, I've seen that in it.
And you turn around and it just pods its second fucking mouth right through your head. Dead.
That looked vicious, Josh. Mafia shit there with fingers.
Yeah, make them think you're your friend. Trick them with the tail, they look behind, they come back and boom. Dead.
It's awful.
The xenomorph is never your best friend.
Never getting on the wrong side of you.
Patreon is alive, alive, live, alive, live, alive. Patreon is alive, alive, horror podcast. Patreon is alive, alive, live, alive, live, alive. Patreon is alive, alive, horror podcast.
Hey kids, can't get enough of that blood, guts and gore? Then head on over to our Patreon, where for just $5 a month you'll get exclusive access to our true crime show Real Monsters and horrific history tales from Playing with Bones with Amy Rose, along with early access to our minisodes and ad-free access to everything else. All this and loads more horror-tastic extras from the Horrorverse. So what are you waiting for? Permission? Go nick your parents' card today and subscribe now at patreon.com/It's Alive Alive Pod. Remember, that's It's Alive Alive Podcast, a really, really fake true crime horror podcast. It's Alive Alive, all the guts and gore with none of the guilt.
Alright, next we're going to look at the physical abilities of the xenomorph. Now we've talked about a few of them already. There's a lot of repetition in this, alright, but I think it's good to remind you of what they can do. Because with alien stuff, you will get lost sometimes, you know?
Well, we definitely mentioned the resin a few times.
And the tongue.
Oh, and the tongue.
It's just that, you know, sometimes I find when I'm reading these things, I got to read them over and over and over again to get all this information.
Definitely, yeah.
It is an information overload at times.
Can be.
The adult xenomorph is a living weapon, noted for their ferocity and deadliness in any condition. Once fully matured, they have great physical strength and agility. They are masters of stealth. A favored method of acquiring prey is to wait in a dormant state until an appropriate victim strays near and then drops down silently from behind, or uses their tail to impale whoever walks by. So they can get you from the dark and just stab and you're dead. Yeah. The prey is generally blind to the fact that the xenomorph is present, due to its propensity to camouflage itself within its nest's walls or the surrounding artificial environment, given their biomechanical-like appearance. The xenomorphs will also use their pitch-black carapace to their advantage, lurking in the shadows whilst waiting for prey to stray too close. Xenomorphs are shown to be able to take extreme amounts of physical damage that would kill any earthly living form. Xenomorphs are capable of surviving with limb shot off, stabbings, and even shots through the head, though total decapitation kills them.
Can they regrow limbs like starfish?
I don't know.
Wouldn't be a bad thing to try and develop.
Never heard of it, so I don't know. Adult xenomorphs are quick and agile and can clamber along ceilings and walls, a skill they exhibit freely whether they are avoiding others, attacking, or hunting. They can survive in extreme temperatures, are well adapted to swimming, can respire in harsh atmospheres. What does respire mean? Breathe?
Oh, yeah. Breathe.
And can survive in vacuum for indeterminate lengths of time. So they can be out in space just floating around there for...
with no oxygen or nothing.
Yeah, I'm not sure for how long. But again, this kind of goes back to Ellen Ripley's claims, where she claimed after the first encounter with them that she shot one out of the air fucking lock in the ship, and that it was still climbing around the outside of the ship while she was floating around there. Yup. Their movements tend to be silent, and they do not radiate heat as their ectoskeleton temperature matches the ambient temperature. which is pretty important for what we're going to be talking about next week, because the Yutuja kind of need that temperature to hunt their prey.
So they use heat.
They like hunting these guys. They use them as kind of they use them to, like, a young hunter, because they're really a hunting kind of species.
Yeah.
So a young hunter has to prove himself by killing a xenomorph. And then to prove he's killed the xenomorph, he rather has to bring back the skull or their spine. Sometimes the Yutuja are known for ripping spines out as trophies. And other times they'll cut off like a finger of the xenomorph and put a mark on their helmets with the acidic blood, which you couldn't do without killing one. So
you'd think though that for like just starting off, if it's supposed to be like an entrance test and like your method is you use heat to hunt,
they take this really seriously. So if you can't kill one of these xenomorphs, you're not good enough to be seen as a full-blown adult.
But how are you supposed to see them if
that's
you
to
use
prove
your
yourself.
heat?
You've got to do it that way. They used to do this as well back in the day. Didn't they? Back in the day, ancient times. So there was certain places like Sparta, the Spartans and stuff like that would take their young at a certain age. They'd be training all their life, and at a certain age to prove that you are completely 100% the warrior you're supposed to be. You're sent off into the wild to survive. Whoever comes back, well, they're a warrior. In this case, whoever comes back with a trophy is a warrior.
They also left babies out to die though, so I mean.
Well, again, we're talking about aliens here. I don't know. It's our culture. So you'd like these guys. They salivate profusely. Amy hates spitting.
I can't.
Drooling, I would assume, would be the same way.
It depends on the amount of drool. I can handle drool because some people can't fucking help drool, and I can handle drool, but I can't handle copious amounts of it. Like, I can't. It's not rocket and shit like that. It's disgusting.
The saliva, thankfully, is not acidic, though some xenomorphs do have the ability to spit acid, which may come from their stomachs or a special gland somewhere in their throats or acid pouches lining the head.
So that confuses me though, because if they can take DNA, like from humans, how are they able to hold the acid in their bodies? Because
the base xenomorph DNA will be there to start with. You're only taking traits from your host.
Okay, I get you. Yeah, I get you.
So this acid can be used to blind victims as much like a spitting cobra. They're spitting fucking snakes.
Yeah, cobras.
Serious. Is this like, because I remember that in Jurassic Park, you had were there raptors that could spit?
They can spit. Yeah,
that
I think there's a few animals that can spit.
Awful. I was young when that came out.
Yeah.
I wasn't afraid of Jurassic Park, but those guys creeped me out.
There's certain parts of Jurassic Park that I was afraid about.
I found them terrifying, especially because they teamed up so much.
Llamas. Llamas spit.
Yeah, but they don't spit acid at you.
Oh, that's true.
They just spit. They're just vile little fuckers.
For the sake of it.
I like the look of them though. Even though they look cranky.
What, a llama does?
They always look like they're frowning.
I think we can.
Their eyes are always like this.
Oh yeah.
Always.
But they're.
You can't see this on a podcast, but they're frowning. Always frowning.
I don't know if we can own them in Ireland, but we can definitely own alpacas, which are basically the same thing. There's alpaca farms around the country, like.
Is there?
Yeah, they're gorgeous little things. We saw them in Clarity.
Yeah, but I thought wildlife preserve, that's different, isn't it? I thought they'd be allowed to kind of have any animal they want in there. But I wouldn't think you were allowed farm llamas in this country. Yeah?
No, not llamas, alpacas. They're basically the same thing. But if you go to the ploughing match, pure bogger now. But if you go to the ploughing match, when we used to go every year, there was your man there with the alpacas, and he had an alpaca farm, and I knew a girl in Limerick, and her dad up the north farmed alpacas.
Can you eat alpacas, or were they just doing it for the fur?
Oh, for the fur, I'd say. I don't know about eating them. I never asked that question. I don't think I'd want to eat one. They're too nice. But I think it's literally just for the fur.
Too nice. But talk about fucking a deer in front of Amy and she'd be like, oh, venison.
It's nice.
Due to the absence of clearly visible eyes, it is possible that the creature uses echolocation to see its environment, much like bats. You can see there's a lot of not contradiction here, but a lot of like, maybe it's this, maybe it's that, maybe it's this. If Weyland-Yutani would tell us, we'd be able to figure this stuff out for real, and we could do a podcast with facts for you. Fucking Weyland. It may be for this reason that xenomorphs hiss almost constantly, though there is evidence that they can detect light and darkness as well. Xenomorphs may be able to find their prey through electroreception. This is a method sharks use to detect even the most hidden prey. Creatures with the electroreception sense can detect the electromagnetic field all animals produce, allowing them to locate their prey by its heartbeats, even if the prey is immobile. I didn't know sharks could do that.
Neither did I. I thought it was basically mostly smell.
It makes me more afraid of sharks.
Makes me afraid of the sea in general.
Xenomorphs produce a thick, strong resin, which can be used to build their hives and cocoon victims. Oh, yeah, that's an extra bit to this. We've done the hives. Cocooning victims. Cocooning is a trait used by xenomorphs to reproduce quickly. A human or any other creature, if dragged away, may have a cocoon of saliva and resin placed over them, their face left free, usually in an area where the queen has produced a large quantity of eggs so that the facehuggers are able to latch onto them easily and deposit a xenomorph larva inside their chest. Much like termites, they mix their vicious saliva with solids. It shows amazing heat and moisture-retaining qualities. Is that xenomorphs or the saliva? I would assume the saliva.
The saliva, much like termites. Yeah, I don't know, the saliva.
Have to be saliva.
Has to be saliva.
But I don't know. That I didn't know that about them either. I knew they cocooned things. I didn't really, and I never really thought about how they built their little queen hive.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of spit.
Just what you were saying there about like immobilizing their victims. To put the chest huggers in them. Can you have more there? As in, like, did it ever happen that there's what's it called them?
Chest huggers.
Chest huggers makes them sound like
They're the pacifist xenomorphs.
Yeah.
I give you a hug.
And I know that you said that an adult alien isn't going to kill someone with like it's not going to kill a host.
Yeah.
But like if a facehugger
counterproductive.
has been on somebody and like there's something growing inside them and the facehugger is off, can another facehugger come on and be like, right, well, my buddy's going to get in there with you?
This is confusing. We get into this very, very soon in the sense of their life cycle.
Yeah.
But it's kind of, the way it was described to me, it sounds like the face hugger is the xenomorph. That the life cycle is all attached. So I would assume that the sense, it's almost like the brain is moving from one to the other, which is strange.
Okay, I get you. No, I think
the DNA is interface, so I would assume it would have the same natural instinct.
as in there's somebody in there that's not...
that they would sense it, especially if it's based on pheromones as well, so it's going to know that this thing's been impregnated before it jumps at it.
Okay, no, I get you.
Especially when, like, we'll talk about it a little later, but these, they stay in an egg until they sense something coming close to it. So they can obviously, even in the egg there's a sense of being in it, like, you know?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, we've talked about all the ways it can kill you. Do you want to talk about some of their vulnerabilities for us?
Yes. So xenomorphs in all stages of their life cycles have been said to have vulnerabilities to heat. The use of Molotov cocktails and flamethrowers constitutes an effective technique to drive them off. A rapid succession of extremes in both high and low temperatures apparently causes a thermal shock effect on a xenomorph's exoskeleton. Those xenomorphs are capable of adapting themselves to cold environments with little discomfort. However, the alien queen is particularly vulnerable to fire for unknown reasons.
Maybe because of that big ass on her that's holding all the eggs, probably.
Could be. Depending on the circumstances, xenomorphs are shown to be vulnerable to small firearms ranging from 9mm to 5.56mm. Though bigger weapons tend to have a greater effect. High-energy beam weapons, such as the plasma weapons used by the Yakuza, appear to be the best way to kill the xenomorphs, since it can blow them off with a single shot and at the same time vaporize their acidic blood. Through pulse rifles, though pulse rifles appear to be the best way to repel large hordes of them, since they can fire non-stop and are not prone to being destroyed like the plasma weapons.
Do you know what? I can't get out of my head either, especially when we talk about the Queen. Gears of War.
Oh, when you say hive mind, anytime you say hive mind, I'm just gone
into Gears of War. It just seems like a very Gears of War. I wonder are all those characters based on these aliens, these xenomorphs. They're very similar. Especially even the Yakuza as well is a very similar concept with the kind of battling, what are the locusts and shit in Gears of War.
I'm going to want to play this now.
I think there's we're working on a new one.
We're going to have to start again like we did last time. Xenomorphs are not invulnerable to melee weapons, although such equipment is likely to be destroyed upon contact with their acidic blood. Unless the weapons are made from Xenomorph's bones.
Ooh,
That'd be a cool weapon to have. What, like a spear?
That'd be pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Um,
There's something if we're making... If you could get the Xenomorph's acid, you would be able to weaponize it if you held it in a weapon made from the Xenomorph's bones, because it's not going to eat through the Xenomorph's bones.
I assume that's what Weyland-Yutani Corporation is working on in their private contracts, because a lot of what is said is, because they are a weapons manufacturer as well, is that they're hired to weaponize these creatures. To use them to make weapons, to find new weapons.
Oh, and not just kind of like make them kind of like turn them into like drones.
No. I think everybody, conspiracy wise, what theorists have said is that there's no taming these things.
You can't.
There'd be no way of dealing with them. There'd be no way you could use them in that sense, unless maybe in the future they figure out how their brains work and if they can put maybe a chip in there or something to regulate it. I don't know. I mean, anything possible in the future, but I mean, right now, no, it's just about weaponizing their blood, their tails, their fucking heads. What can they do with them, basically? And like you said, basically what you were talking about there.
Just
what if we take their acid and put it in the bone kind of structured gun and shoot it, you know?
Okay.
So, anyway, earlier on you were asking about how they mix with their genetics, so we're going to get into genetic adaptation here next, okay?
Yes.
Due to horizontal gene transfer during the gestation period, the xenomorph also takes on some of the basic physical attributes of the host from which it was born, allowing the individual alien to adapt to the host environment more efficiently. So it's more of a survival thing, really. If it's going to hit us up down here, then it's going to want to be able to breathe our air and survive in our atmosphere, and they take those strengths from their host.
Okay.
Through experiments, it was discovered that the embryo attaches itself to a major artery of its hosts to get nutrients as it grows. It is presumed that the DNA from the blood it acquires infuses itself with the embryo's DNA to make up for its lack of genetic structure. It may take a thicker bipedal form with a darker exoskeleton if it comes from something that stands on two legs, such as a human. When the host is a four-legged animal, it may take on a more slender, sleeker appearance, where it too moves as a quadruped.
A quadruped.
Quadruped. I'm fucking all over the place. And has a more reddish-orangish coloured exoskeleton even. Not eco. That would be like a fucking
environmentally
hippie alien. All I can picture now is a wooden alien. A wooden
with smoke
xenomorph
coming out of the UFO.
Steam UFO. Steam engine powered. It may also take on some facial features of its host, such as mandibles when implanted in a Yutuja. Now, obviously, we haven't gotten to them yet, but they do have these weird kind of mandibles on their mouth that the xenomorph will take on. We'll talk more again about that next week. Predaliens, which is a xenomorph spawned from Yutuja hosts, have a yellowish-green partial skin covering their exoskeleton. Exo, not eco. Exo, you dumb fuck.
Don't put yourself down.
But yeah, predaliens is what they're called. Because of the predator fucking title that they have. So yeah, I mean, there are ways of taking them down, and then there's all this. I find this really interesting, the genetic adaptation kind of stuff. You know?
Oh yeah. It's because it's so intricate, and there's so much there. I mean, in genetics, it
is very parasitic of it, all right, isn't it? To go in there and find the best features and pull it out of its host. And you know, I mean, the host's going to die anyway. It's almost like taking it on.
It's also very smart engineering.
I wonder. Does it imagine? And I know, obviously, because again, all this is allegedly. We don't know if this is real or not. But imagine if they're sucking in your DNA, if they manage to get some of your consciousness. What if you are the xenomorph when it comes out? What if a part of you is in that? Because you die. This xenomorph comes out of your chest and you die. On. Does the DNA bring some? Because you go, what were we watching lately? And they were talking about historical DNA in your genes.
Oh, but I mean, like we have it's like I'm like Irish people. We still have part of the famine in us. Like
they reckon that we're depressed and drink a lot because of all the shit that's happened to us in the past. But something like
inherited
that
memory, inherited. It's cool.
Yeah. So, I mean...
What would happen if they spawned with a bird? That's a scary thought. Flying aliens.
Yeah, but smaller and easier to kill aliens.
That's true.
Do you know? I mean,
Unless they fucking do it with an albatross or something.
you're kind of hoping that these things, when they're around you, will spawn with the weakest animal that you have near you. Don't look at the dog. It'd be vicious if it was the dog.
That's what I was just trying to. I was trying to figure it out because I thought like mouse first, and I was like, the only animal that we have here is the dog.
Poor Caesar.
We wouldn't let that happen.
He's going to turn into an intelligent ape, not an alien. Fuck's sake.
You're getting this all mixed up.
Right. So next up is their life cycle. Again, we touched on all this briefly, but we're going to get a little deeper into it now. The xenomorph is born in egg form, laid in place by the hive's queen through the use of a detachable ovipositor.
Ovipositor.
What's that?
Ovi,
Obviously,
would mean egg.
yeah.
So positor is in like something that like deposits
Shoots out eggs.
Yeah, like
Okay.
ovaries.
Why couldn't it just say she lays eggs? That's it. The egg is thick and gelatinous, usually with several membranes attached to the outer layers. It can take nutrients from the ground to support the creature inside. The egg has vein-like structures running through it, showing that it is actually a living creature, sometimes known as an ovomorph. I like that sound, ovomorph. The xenomorph hatchling, called a facehugger, is protected by a thick fleshy layer at the top of the egg, where the shell peels open when the facehugger senses creatures nearby. The sense that detects suitable organisms has to be very specific in what it chooses to respond to. Perhaps this is why it takes so long to open. Various sensory organs study the approaching organism. So there's kind of the answer as well to your how does it know when something's already been impregnated by it. You see here, it's got all these sensory organs attached to the egg that is reading what's going on around it. Really fucking highly sophisticated animals here, like, you know?
Yeah.
After the egg opens, the facehugger emerges and seeks out a nearby life form, latching onto its face, wrapping its tail around its airway, and implanting the xenomorph embryo by sticking a tube down the host's throat. It will coil its tail tighter around the airway to prevent premature removal. So if the facehugger jumps on you, and I try and take it off,
I'm getting
it's got its tail wrapped around your neck. So as I try and pull it off or pull a leg off or whatever, that tail is getting tighter and tighter and tighter. And I love the way, or the source for this called it, a tube down your neck. To me, it's sticking its penis down your throat.
Sounds about right.
So an attempt to sever a finger found that facehuggers possess the same acidic blood as the adult xenomorph. So if you try and cut the fucker off a face, you're going to melt the person's face.
Okay.
The facehugger supplies oxygen to keep the host alive during the impregnation process. Once the embryo has been implanted, the facehugger falls off, curls up, and dies. I wonder, I know it's not the nicest way to deal with it, but I wonder if you just killed the person who, once the fucking the facehugger is on you, if you kill the person, would that just be the end of it? Like,
probably, because
it sounds like it needs nutrients from arteries is what it said, isn't it? And it needs to obviously suck in your DNA and all that.
But
kind
that's
of stuff.
it. If it's lacking a DNA structure, it's probably not able to survive.
So it probably needs you. So the answer here is the same as zombie rules. You get bitten, you're gone. Done. Hosts usually fall into a short coma and wake up ravenously hungry. I was going to say ravishiously, but sexually hungry. Oh, baby. Ravenously hungry. This can be explained as the embryo needing an immediate source of nutrients for its progression into the next stage of its life. Again, we've talked about it. It grows really fast, so you have to assume it is very hungry. Hours might pass between the host waking and their time of death. Yatuja lived the longest as a result of an extended incubation period. The reason for this is likely due to the genetic complexity of the host. The incubating chestburster requires more time for mitosis and kinesis. Oh my god. Kinesis. I knew that was the word. It just wouldn't come out.
I know you knew it.
Is it cyto or cheeto? It's cytokinesis, due to the morphology of the predalien. which I'm a little bit offended by, that these Yakuza are seen as more genetically complex than us.
Well, do we use heat to hunt?
I'm a complex person, Amy. Okay.
Here you are.
However, in some cases, the host will awaken, not gradually, but suddenly, just in time to be conscious of the chest busters push out into the world. Their state of normalcy will last only seconds or minutes. So when somebody wakes up from this, generally they believe they're fine. They don't feel any different. They don't feel bad. They wake up hungry. They wake up energized. Again, in the cases that have been, I want to say documented, but obviously, allegedly, the cases that have happened,
Yeah.
I've never heard of someone still being in the coma state when one popped out. You're nearly always awake for this.
Because they need you to go eat and stuff.
Yeah, I assume so. They're waking you to go eat more, so they have the strength to push you out. That does make sense, actually, yeah. You know, it's also proven that when a host awakens, there is some sort of memory lapse in which they don't remember anything that has happened to them. So that explains why they wake up happy and not really too worried about it.
Christ, we're hitting all.
This short-term memory lapse, Xenomorphs, the date rapists of the galaxy.
Holy shit.
This short-term memory loss is most likely a result of temporary oxygen deprivation caused by the facehugger's tail as it asphyxiates the host. Different facehuggers are known to exist, including some highly abnormal ones. The royal facehugger will give rise to queens or to members of the Praetorian caste. The latter, which may be promoted to queen later on. However, there's also a poorly known caste of giant facehuggers, which are also known as queen facehuggers, but don't seem to be related to queens directly.
So you don't get a queen from a queen facehugger?
No.
Okay.
Unlike regular facehuggers, these giants don't seek to impregnate hosts, but merely to protect the ovomorphs. So they will be in and around where the eggs are.
Oh, okay.
They may use their legs and tail to immobilize potential hosts, allowing regular facehuggers to latch onto the victim's face and impregnate them. Another highly aberrant form is the infectoid facehugger, which doesn't implant an embryo, but rather fuses itself to the host's body, transforming the host into an undead zombie-like being linked to the alien's hive mind.
That's like that fungus.
It's fucking mental, that is. Can you imagine them walking around with this big spider over your face? Rick and Morty did it. Rick and Morty did it. There is an episode of Rick and Morty where they come up on one of these eggs. It's obviously based off all this, but when the facehugger comes on their face, it takes over their personality, and they just start interacting with other facehugger people. And all this kind of stuff.
I remember that.
Yeah. After attaching itself to a vein and gestating in the chest cavity, xenomorph infants called chestbusters push and chew through the host's chest, causing severe pain, blood loss, shock, and death. No fucking shit. Chewing through the chest, like you have to tell me that it has pain.
Well, if they're attached to your artery, as soon as they come out, you're gone.
Oh, it's blood straight away. Yeah. The host's rib cage is cracked open, bones bent outwards. It is suggested that the removal of the chest buster would still lead to the death of the host due to the remaining alien tissue acting like a malignant tumor, in effect developing into a fatal cancerous growth. So Eve, once it's in there, you're fucked. There is no real coming back from it. Even if you get the thing out, you're probably going to die of cancer.
So just stay on her.
I wonder if they'd have some sort of radioactiveness. Well, I suppose acidic blood would have to have something in it, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But then again, cancer isn't always going to be radiation, is it? It can be fucking anything and everything, really.
Yeah, I think that there's some cancers that might be radiotherapy immune, as in like you have to go other routes with that.
At this stage, the xenomorph is small, limbless, and very vulnerable. Not limbless, it has arms. We saw pictures of it. Or drawings of it. Among other possibilities, its neck can be snapped. So the minute it pops out, you just grab that sucker like a fucking, I don't know, like
Big
a fish
penis?
and just start beating it up. Okay, we know where Amy said that. Amy, what are you doing? Break its neck. Okay. Up and down, up and down. No, side to side, side to side.
All right.
Where was I? You put me off. It needs to get to a safe area so it can reach its next life cycle. It moves with a long tail and can coil up and jump. So this thing bolts as soon as it gets out of you.
Okay.
It cannot climb on walls or ceilings, but despite these drawbacks, it can traverse an area with astonishing speed. So it can, basically, as soon as it's out, it's gone. Okay. And then you got to go try and find this tiny thing before it turns into a huge monster. In some cases, they turn into a cocoon, though this could be a subspecies. The common assumption is that the alien molts, grows legs, and develops much like a tadpole turning into a frog.
Oh, eventually. Okay. Except it doesn't lose its tail.
No, obviously it's a big part of it, so yeah, it holds on to that. In some cases, morphological traits acquired from the host may already be visible in the chestbuster stage. For example, a chestbuster born from a Yutuja will already display the characteristic mandibles of the race. Some chestbusters already have legs when they emerge, including the royal chestbuster and the runner. The runner, I think, is the dog. Or the animal version before there. Yeah. A variation of this stage is known as the belly buster, which erupts from the host's abdomen rather than the chest. That's when the facehugger has an especially large penis and it goes all the way down to your tummy. These seem to be formed when the host is pregnant and the alien embryo develops inside the womb, presumably feeding on the fetus or multiple fetuses. Oh, shit. So, yeah, don't get caught by one of these when you're pregnant. Since multiple belly busters can develop inside a single host
Thank you. This is what I was wondering.
They can be used as an efficient way for a young future queen to establish a new hive faster. But again, I would assume they are reading the pheromones of, we got extra space in this woman over here, let's take it up.
Probably. Because,
there's extra nutrients in here. There's a baby in here we can eat. Let's go over here.
Like, if loads of eggs, though, are waiting to sense that there's, like, people around and the xenomorphs are cocooning them in their nest, if they only have one human, obviously it's only going to be, like, they'll have to...
I would assume this kind of plays off of a similar thing of when you have twins. You know how, like, sometimes you could have a twin and they're not getting enough nutrients and one will feed off the other one?
Yeah.
I would assume it's similar to that if, in the case of a pregnant woman, there's more nutrients going around, there's obviously the fetuses to eat for them and to suck off life. And obviously the fetus is there, and that's pulling nutrients from you to start with. That's why women are getting so heavy, isn't it? Because you have to eat, well, not just that, but you're eating more, and you're sleeping more, and all this kind of stuff, because you need, and you're taking all these multivitamin stuff, because you need to try and get that to the baby.
Exactly.
I'm assuming that this is just taking the baby out of the way, and taking that umbilical cord and sticking it in its mouth and going, yep, I'll take it.
Oh, yeah. Do
you know? But I would assume that if it tries to do that to, say, me, and it gets into my chest and realizes there's another one there, now it's fighting with another one for nutrients, which I'm only producing enough nutrients for one person. A pregnant woman is producing 2 loads, aren't they? They'd have to have enough for themselves and for the baby.
That's true, but I wonder, because they're keeping you, you wake up ravenous and it's probably them needing nutrients, are you going to wake up double hungry? Because there's 2 inside you working to keep you hungry, like. So are you going to be constantly...
I wonder, is it the case of, can one human take in that much nutrients that quick for 2 of them to survive?
I don't know.
That's why I don't think maybe it is only pregnant women that they go for.
There is a tribe in, it's either Asia or Africa, but the women, you know, like they're more desirable if they're overweight, but when they like reach puberty and they're sent off for like this special diet, but they take in 3,000 calories at breakfast, 3,000 calories at lunch, and 3,000 calories at dinner. It is crazy. And it's like,
if I ate one of those meals in one day, I'd be a fat fucker.
They finish their breakfast to start making their like lunch like straight away.
So their life is just eating.
For those few years to get themselves heavier for marriage.
Stuck a fucking camera on them, they'd make a killing on YouTube.
Yeah.
Mukbanging.
It's such a weird word. You wouldn't think it's anything got to do with food.
Mukbanging to me sounds like
dirty stuff in the mud.
Oh, I was going to say two muddy farmers having sex.
Yeah, dirty stuff in the mud. Mukbanging.
Mainly because of the amount of times I have heard really, really rural people being referred to as muck savages.
Oh, muckers? Yeah.
Muck savage is what I've heard fairly often.
I don't think I've heard that before.
That mukbanging just sounds to me like farmers having sex. What type of porn do you like? Mukbanging.
That would make me gag instantly without knowing what it is, because just the sound of the word, it's got to be something.
In the back of my John Deere, we're going to mukbang.
Oh, I'm bringing you down my dungarees. You got to try it on and say that at the same time.
Little is known about the transformation that occurs between the chest burster and adult phases. Because you have asked me about this before. You have said to me before, do they cocoon? Do they what? What's the story here? We don't know.
Oh.
As already stated, the xenomorph appears to molt from before reaching maturity. Maturity is reached in a few hours. It involves a dozen-fold increase in mass, which would presumably require some form of nourishment. But yeah, that's the big thing here. No one seems to know for sure. Because, like I said, these chest busters come out of you and they're gone. They run. They get out of there as quick as humanly possible. And then once they're gone, it's a relatively short amount of time before they come back fully grown and ready to fight.
Yuck.
So, or ready to hunt. So, So it's you have a very short period of time to catch them and see what's going on there. And no one's managed it so far. No! We've talked about all their biology and all that stuff. Let's look at their culture and society. I thought you were going to say something there. The Xenomorphs have a caste system similar to that of bees and ants. A major difference is that their caste system is far more complex. It's believed that the drones have a smooth cowl while the warriors display the ridges. The drones and warriors have different tasks. Warriors defend the hives and drones hunt potential hosts, while some live only to protect the queen, such as hive warriors or Praetorians.
They're literally like group events, colony events.
Essentially, yeah, pretty much the same.
Okay.
Yeah. Which is why I was saying these will be more insectoid kind of aliens than anything else, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Well, at least in the way they act. I mean, facially, not so much, I suppose, but...
Yeah. No, definitely.
Facially, they're more lizard people kind of style.
With eye. Oh, no.
You know, in terms of they are more kind of lizard-like.
The look of them. Yeah.
So the drones. The basis of any xenomorph hive. The drones are very much like worker bees or ants. Their main tasks are to keep the hive in good condition. Also, they seem to have a job of creating their nests with their own secretions. They average in size at about 6 to 7 foot tall, standing on hind legs, and about 14 to 15 foot tall, tail included. Not tall, long. They're not going to be tall with the tail included.
Unless they're going to.
Unless they're doing the kangaroo, like I said earlier. They have the basic body build of the warrior, except that their dome is completely smooth, whereas the warrior dome is typically more ridged. Drones are smaller and somewhat more delicate than the warriors, not considered quite as dangerous by Yutuja standards, but striking fear in the heart of any human. So, most of the stories I've heard have been about drones. So, I mean, this makes the drones sound all nice and like homemakers or some fucking shit.
Okay.
But,
Yeah.
these guys are out hunting too.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
Like all of their brethren, they have acidic body fluids, but only the drone can spit this secretion onto prey over a short distance. So these fuckers have the spitting thing. Drones have an organ in their body that releases a sticky fluid that they can spit out of their mouth onto any surface. So this different from the one we were talking about earlier?
It sounds like it.
Maybe this is more like what they use to build a hive. You know? Because obviously you can't really spit acid and hope for a hive to turn out of it. It's just gonna put a hole in the
fluid.
wall.
Well, sticky fluid, yeah. Yeah, you can build it up.
Cool.
Okay.
Alright, do you want to tell us about the warrior xenomorphs?
Warrior xenomorphs are the soldiers and protectors of the hive. They are all children of the hive's queen, bigger and stronger than the drones. The drones are less deadly and somewhat less intimidating. Yeah. Warriors average in size at about 8 feet tall, standing on hind legs, and about 14 to 16 feet long, tail included. In most cases, the warrior looks the same as a drone, except that the dome on top of the head is generally ridged.
Now, to be fair, when they say the drone are less deadly and somewhat less intimidating, they mean in comparison.
Yeah. No, I got it. They may evolve into Praetorians, which may serve as the queen's personal guard and potential successors. Typically, there are 4 of them at any given time. However, when the queen wishes to watch them battle for her attention or increase protection in preparation for an attack on the hive, she will release pheromones, which cause 4 additional warriors to evolve into Praetorians.
That
Sounds like a video game.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
I love the way it's like, when the queen wishes to watch them battle. I'm bored. Get
Sounds
the
like
Praetorians.
Praetorian. Yeah, Praetorians. Why do I feel like I'm saying that wrong now?
It's a weird word.
Praetorian, yeah. Are bigger and stronger than the warriors and are seen to have a developing crown. Their primary role within the hive is to guard key locations of importance or interest, and if nothing else, to protect the queen herself. Most Praetorians can be found very close to the queen's chambers. The physical features of the Praetorian are pristine and very similar to the queen's. It is a crown-like head crest, large size, and great strength. The Praetorian is said to be created by special eggs and facehuggers known as a royal facehugger. These are generally larger and a darker colour than normal facehuggers, which carries a genetic code known as the royal jelly line, which is passed from the queen herself to the facehuggers and embryos, the Da Vinci Code, except with the royal jelly line.
I like the sound of the royal jelly line.
However, there are cases in which Praetorians evolve from the warrior caste. The queen selects a warrior to become a Praetorian, and the warrior is then attacked by fellow xenomorphs from the same hive and banished. The warrior must survive on its own for a long period of time. It grows and sheds and becoming approximately 15 feet tall and gaining its head crest. It returns to the hive as a worthy guard to the queen. Besides their duties, Praetorians may also act as the princesses or immature queens of the hive, which can be promoted to queens. Some varying reports of Praetorians with massive shield-like growths on their forearms have been seen.
So, again, this is kind of similar to what we were saying about the Yakuza, and they're heading off to become men.
Exactly,
But in this case, it's a similar thing, except that they get a proper Bloods and Crips like fucking jump into the gang.
Oh,
It's like,
yeah.
beat them up, jump them in, boys. And then you're kicked out for a while and you gotta toughen yourself up and come back.
Do you have to go hunting like the other guys do, or just have to survive out there on your own? for a while?
Sounds like they just have to survive on their own, which seems to make them evolve a little bit.
Did the Vikings do that?
So no, I think obviously you might have seen some guys do it to prove it to themselves, maybe, but I don't think it was a thing you had to do.
A cultural thing, no.
No. I mean, yeah, I only remember in the show Vikings.
That was Bjorn,
that
though,
Bjorn
wasn't it?
takes
That's what
off
was
of
in
his
my
own
head.
accord to prove to himself that he's better than, that he can survive
Yeah,
without his father, that he's a man himself,
getcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, so the queen. The xenomorph queen is the largest and most intelligent xenomorph and can grow incredibly large, up to 100 feet tall if given time. She lays many eggs that hatch to become the first stage of xenomorph. It is unclear whether the queen engages in combat outside of protecting her hive. The queen is usually nestled deep within the hive, protected by Praetorian guards. She has been known to display some logic-based intelligence, primarily in using simple human technology such as lifts. She is the most dangerous of the hive, displaying extreme aggression and using her intelligence to devastating effect. When attached to her egg sac, she is immobile and vulnerable to attacks. So that's what I was saying earlier on. So she must be able to detach this thing. When she removes herself from it,
Oh, yeah, you said a detachable ovipositor.
She can move surprisingly fast. She attacks with her 4-clawed arms as well as her long bladed tail. She has also been shown to use her mane and inner jaws in combat. Queens are created through royal facehuggers, which produce Praetorians or immature queens. When a queen dies or abandons a hive, a Praetorian may fully develop into a new queen and take her mother's place. Whereas normal embryos adopt characteristics from their host, the royal facehugger does not. The royal facehugger carries within it the royal jelly line, which is a genetic code passed down from the queen xenomorph to her chosen offspring. The embryo is more or less a genetic code of its mother and as such will not adopt the characteristics of the host, but will retain the physical characteristics of the xenomorph queen. Regardless of host, the Praetorian will appear nearly exactly the same as its mother when it's fully developed into a new queen. Because of this, it's often speculated that the queen is the only pure-blooded xenomorph. It's also strange. It's almost like that the Praetorians are almost like carbon copies of her. That she's cloning herself before anything happens to her, before moving on or anything like that.
Yeah, but it's
If it's not taking any DNA from its host, and it comes out looking and acting, is it just an exact copy?
a clone.
Especially with a
Possibly.
hive mind
I just
kind of
thought
thing.
that they didn't have any DNA structure at all. Like, so obviously the royal jelly line ones are not born, but they're in the egg with some form of a DNA structure.
Oh yeah,
Or else they would be taken on the host. Okay, I get you.
Because the facehugger has to be a royal face. No, that's for the Praetorians. Yeah, so you have certain facehuggers. for
Facehuggers,
these
oh, yeah,
particular
yeah,
facehuggers.
yeah.
So that's what happens
There's a
here.
lot in it.
Yep. Now we're going to get into the history of it. Well, with all alien things, it's so complicated.
Oh, well, yeah,
Because,
there's
I
lots of
mean,
ins and outs.
number one, where do you get your sources from?
The sky.
Who do you trust as being sane and who do you trust as being away with the fairies? You know, for years I thought the Bob Lazar stuff sounded cool, is fairly interesting, but then you see so much stuff against him. But then it's like, well, maybe it's against him because the government don't want you know, and he knows this stuff, so they're making him out to be crazy, and so you don't really fucking know. And there's so much of it there, and everyone has their own theories and their own ideas of what things are. So it's.
But I think it's like when it comes to paranormal things, as in like people that are much more trustworthy are people that are like, look, we think we saw this, but we also know that could be this, or this, and it's out. You know, it's
like we were saying with Betty and Barney Hill.
Yeah.
It was, they seemed like very reputable kind of witnesses because they had so much to lose.
But like you said as well, they were openly an interracial couple in the 60s, which
is dangerous to start with.
Yeah, exactly.
He was big into civil rights activism, he was high up there. She was a social worker, working with kids, wasn't it? So, I mean, like, they could have lost a lot through this. And... You know, that kind of proved to a lot of people that, well, they must be on the up and up because they have a lot to lose here, and they never made a penny out of it.
At the very, very least, they both 100% believe
that they saw what they did.
Yeah.
So their history. It is heavily implied that Weyland-Yutani scientists were the chief designers of the first xenomorph egg and therefore the creator of the species. However, there are no solid facts as to the origin of the xenomorph species.
And they just lost control of them, like?
I'm not 100% sure. Again, all over the place. Instead, there are many theories which cannot be confirmed, like we just said.
Yes.
They may be an artificially created species, or they may have evolved naturally on a planet very different from Earth. It has been implied that the xenomorph species derived from the black liquid, a living biological weapon created by the engineers. Remember them because we'll be talking about them soon too. They're the
Malalakas.
Yeah, that's them.
Like primordial soup.
Yeah. The liquid is stored in special canisters inside a temple on a moon of the gas giant Calpamos, that's it. I don't know, though. I have some form of dyslexia because sometimes I'm reading and my letters just go all over it. I just convince myself the word is a completely different word from what I think it is.
I can hear your mouth move and it's just your tongue.
And that gas giant is in the Zeta Reticuli system. Same system. If you were listening to Real Monsters, you would have heard us go on and on and on about Zeta Reticuli.
And in some circles, the reptilians are from Zeta Reticuli as well.
They're no more for the Draconian system.
Draconians, but they also said that there's some conspiracy theorists that do mention that.
Again, yeah. You're kind of different sources, different origins. I mean, the day we get onto Zachariah Stitchin and he's fucking Planet X, you'll know all about it. The liquid was created to infect other life forms and either kill them or merge them with their genetic structure, giving rise to new and extraordinary hostile mutations. Simple worms mutated by this substance, for instance, developed into hammerpedes, a species which shares some traits with xenomorphs, such as acidic blood. So that's and after us going on about, let's just leave it into our weakest animal and then we'll fucking deal with it and we'll be fine. No. They'll take a fucking easygoing worm and kill you with it. However, this is heavily contradicted by the fact that the xenomorphs are known to be a pre-existing species that was traditionally bred, reared, and hunted by the Yutuja intentionally for sport. A tradition that goes back thousands of years and has been practiced on Earth as well as other planets. Unless the Yutuja or other species has found a way of time traveling and brought xenomorphs to the distant past, this remains incompatible with the idea of xenomorphs having been genetically engineered by Weyland-Yutani. Another fact that cast doubt over this theory is that images representing what appear to be modern xenomorphs have been found on ancient hieroglyphics around the world, leading to the belief that they have been visiting Earth for thousands, if not millions of years. Expert ufologists, I keep going to say UFOologists.
I think that's the way I say it.
It's ufologist. Expert ufologists believe the presence of these images could suggest that the black liquid was originally derived from the xenomorphs rather than vice versa.
Okay.
So the black liquid didn't make them, they made the black liquids. In any case, it is certain that there is some kind of link between the xenomorphs and the Malakaks, aka engineers. The xenomorph could be the result of genetic manipulation by the Malakaks.
Better get that right for next week.
Created as a terraforming mechanism about 10 million years ago, which went terribly wrong. Malakak ship, allegedly found as a derelict on LV-426 in 2022, was shown to have an entire chamber filled with xenomorph eggs, apparently held in stasis for a long time. It's possible that the Malakaks used the xenomorphs as weapons and or research subjects, but the details are still unknown. Another idea is that the xenomorphs were the alpha predators of their own ecosystem on a nightmarish and harsh planet. Find the ecos in here. Without their native ecosystem to keep them in check, they developed into a separate dominant species. The Malakak, the Yehuta, and the humans began showing interest and started using them as means of sports, terraforming mechanisms, biological weapons, and scientific experiment subjects with various results. Now, at this point, I take it you want to know more about the Malakak and the Yutuja. Don't worry, we'll be digging deep into them. You just gotta wait till next week on It's Alive Alive, episode 54, Horrorverse Aliens Part 2. But that's it today. We're done. That's the Xenomorphs.
I enjoyed that.
I kind of left us hanging there with the Malakak and the Yutuja, but trust me, I got just as long a fucking script written for them. Ready to go. Ready to go. We could do it right now, Amy. We could give them 2 episodes.
No,
we're not going to do
gotta
that
work in the morning.
because we've done more than enough. If you want to hear more about aliens, head on over to our Patreon feed. You will get Mini Monsters free right now, all 4 episodes for this week, where we cover Betty and Barney Hill, we cover the Greys, we cover the Reptilians, and we cover, what else do we cover? Oh yeah, the Battle over Nuremberg.
Yes, we do.
On top of that, you can go and listen to Real Monsters. That comes out every Tuesday on Patreon. That is for $5 a month. You can go listen to it now for free because you could just sign up for our 7-day free trial.
Exactly.
And there we talk about all 4 of those subjects again, and we really get into it. I mean, that episode goes on for about an hour and a half of us just talking about these guys. It's really interesting. Friday, we will be back with the Horrorverse headlines. And for now, Thursdays are quiet.
Yes.
But we are working quietly in the background, preparing to make Thursdays historically crazy. I started today on my scripts for my wrestling history podcast.
Ooh,
I got the first one done, first episode written, ready to go. All about the origins of wrestling, the Carney days, all that kind of stuff, good stuff. And then I'm going to spend the next 2 seasons talking about the NWA.
Nice.
So yeah, first season going to be 8 episodes.
Thought we were doing 6.
Don't worry, it'll still be 6 weeks. I'm going to give everybody 3 episodes day 1. So they're going to hear the first 3 episodes day 1.
Way to put on the workload.
And then there'll be an episode a week for 6 weeks. Then there'll be a 6-week break, and we'll come back with the second part of the NWA. During that 6-week break, though, we'll be listening to Amy Rose tell us all about Jack the Ripper for 6 weeks.
3 weeks.
3 weeks?
3
you're
weeks.
doing a bit of both?
I'm splitting it up. I'm going to do Jack the Ripper for 3 weeks, and then I'm going to do the Borgias because they are just a fucking soap opera family from the 1500s.
All right, cool. We can do that. Yeah, so soon enough, we will have a packed week. It'll be Monday to Friday. All It's Alive, all Horrorverse Network, all good. And we're not going to keep things tied up in money too long either, because whereas Real Monsters, Playing with Bones, and Wrestling with My Missus are all behind paywalls, eventually they'll come out. So if you want to hear them now, you got to pay the $5. If you want to wait 6, 7, 8, 9, I'm not even giving a specific date. This is just going to be me one day going, it's been long enough. Yeah. Give it to them. You know?
Exactly.
I mean, in case of like the wrestling show and the history show, it could be after 3 or 4 seasons are out, we're going to give you the first season for free. Yeah. You know, so it'll be a while. But that's about it. Yeah, that's us done for this week. Where can they check us out on socials, Amy?
They can check us out on socials at... why am I gone blank at our socials?
Instagram, Threads.
Yes.
Not TikTok, because they won't let us on there anymore.
That's what caught me off. TikTok was only coming into...
all of it, YouTube, it's all at Alive Pod. So you can check everything out there. We'll be back next Wednesday with more Tales from the Horrorverse. Interstellar Tales from the Horrorverse. It's Alive podcast, all the guts and gore. We're none of the guilt. See you all next time. Same Alive time, same Horrorverse channel. Okay, love you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
See ya.